I don't know. I don't know where the Clash goes from here. I thought the race was entertaining. Did it live up to the standards of the Clash? Maybe not, but I think that was more to do with having to move the race early, and it took a little bit of the tradition and celebration, and took all the the pre-race ceremonies and stuff out of it, so the build-up was not there. It was like tuning into a local race at Flow, on a streaming platform, and just kind of watching the Saturday night feature, which was totally fine. But there's a lot of conversation about where it goes from here, and I got a little opinion on that. I think I miss Daytona Speed Weeks, and we're going to do something on this show that hopefully we can do every week, but that's have the winner call in from the previous race. And this is kind of something that Denny has talked about on his podcast this week, and I would like to talk to him about it more today. But, I miss Daytona Speed Weeks. I miss how the Clash and all the other events helped build up and set the tone for the Daytona 500, right? You would, you'd come in there and run the Clash, and that was sort of the appetizer of the whole meal. And, those who, all right, first off, one of the things that really, really ticks me off is to hear people say that the Clash just needs to go away, right? Just get rid of it. The people that say that never won that race, right? When the Clash has a history, a very important history, going back to its original format of pole winners. It was a very short, brief sort of tease for the Daytona 500, and it fit, and it fit in that space perfectly. It does not need to be more than that. And I'm of the opinion that it doesn't need to be going around to all these other racetracks. It doesn't need to go to Mexico. It doesn't need to go to Canada. It doesn't need to go back to the Coliseum. It doesn't need to go to your local short track or South Boston or anywhere. It needs to go back to Daytona. It needs to be that tease. It needs to be pole winners. If it's 12, 14 cars, I do not care. If it's a 20-lap race and it lasts 15 minutes, I do not give a all right? That's all it needs to be. And so every race has a role. Every race in the season has a role. Every race needs to stay in its lane. And that's what the Clash needs to do. Denny will talk about the economics of that, right? Going down there, taking the car and the crew and all that stuff and the expense and running that race, potentially crashing a car that he didn't want to crash. But that's what you sign up for. When you're an owner in a Cup Series, that's what you sign up for. Everything that we've done, about everything that we've done to strip away time at the track, the practices, everything that we've done to try to condense the weekend, I just can't buy into. And I totally understand the reason why we need to try to make this more economical for the teams. And, we're showing up and barely having just a blip of practice and in qualifying race. We're going to go to Daytona, the most important race of the year, the Daytona 500, and put the cars right into qualifying and then run a duel. No practice, not anything to sort of understand where everybody's at. The practices build storylines. The Clash builds a storyline. Whoever runs good or does something great, it allows us to build a narrative around, okay, man, this guy won the Clash. Is this the team to beat? Is this the driver to beat? It may give us an incredible story of some rookie that comes out in the Clash and stomps the veterans leading into the Daytona 500. But we don't have that. And so, I kind of miss Speed Weeks and the build-up. I do remember when I was racing in the Cup Series that we would get into town, we'd do a lot of media, then we'd have the Clash, and then we all would qualify on Sunday and then go home. And we'd come back to Daytona on Wednesday before the duels for practice. I do remember wanting to go home, looking forward to that Monday and Tuesday back at the house. But, we had 8 hours of practice. Literally, there was 8 full hours of Daytona 500 practice. That's surely unnecessary. But, giving us an hour or two, at least before the duel, right? So, these guys can get their cars off the ground and get a reasonable, effort in qualifying, especially with more open teams coming, trying to get into the field. It just really seems underserved to put those guys right onto the racetrack without a lap for qualifying. And so, I favor bringing the Clash back to Daytona. I believe that that's probably very unlikely that happens.
Why do you say that?
Well, the idea of if you're a promoter, right, or if you're involved in any type of event, you want it to be as big as it can be. You want to take it where it's most wanted. If you've got somebody over here that's going to give you more money to bring it to their neck of the woods, then you're going to choose that, right, over taking, if you take it back to Daytona and it's pole winners and it's a 20-lap race, it's going to be very lucrative in terms of a business, right? It's not going to make you a lot of money, unlikely, anyways. But there's better opportunities financially. I think that's why it goes to the Coliseum, right? And that's why it probably ends up somewhere else next year, is because of the local community and the governments and so forth buying in physically, like investing into the race. And getting our sport in front of a different audience, right? And so I understand the importance of that. I'm not gonna get bent out of shape no matter where it goes. But I just feel like that, it was very helpful as a race at Daytona to sort of tee off speed weeks. But without practices and all of the things that are happening around the track throughout the week, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have it there. You have to bring it all back, right? You have to kind of bring back the old the series, and the series in the industry needs to go to Daytona and build up, right? The moment that is the Daytona 500. And so the Clash was really good at being the sort of introduction to that.
People are asking, like, genuinely, where do they think is it going to go next year? Jeff Gluck already thinks it's not going back to L.A.
No,
so
where
do you think it's going?
No, I mean, that you could see the writing on the wall while that race was going on.
Yeah,
you could feel like NASCAR's like, all right, man, this was a great run, enjoyed it, we're out. Just the whole. I don't know. There was really way less sort of ceremony around it than the first one or two, and it's like they're getting to they're at the end of the contract, this 3-year deal, and we're going to take the they already probably are having conversations with where it's going next. You're here in Mexico, right? You're hearing it might go down there. You're hearing Canada's in the conversation. I don't know where they might take it up there, but who knows? I don't know where it's going to end up. But if they're going to go off the wall, right, if they're going to get out of their box, so to speak, and go take this thing somewhere crazy, there's a race, Brands Hatch, over in Europe. They have this little short course called the Indy course. And I've said this before, but if there's a short track in the road course world, it's those style of tracks like the Indy course at Brands Hatch. And so it's, I love ovals. I want to see our cars racing on ovals. I'm not a massive road course fan, right? I'm not a massive road course left and right kind of guy, but I think those shorter courses. Now that's interesting to me, right? Because that's going to potentially create more lap traffic. The shorter the course, when it's like a 3/4 mile or a mile and a quarter road course, you're going to get opportunity to catch the back of the field quicker, And that's what our cars need, right? Is traffic and challenges and to keep the racing, interesting. When we're on those, 1.75 mile, 2 mile road courses, things kind of get strung out, right? Anyhow, so that would be my hope, is that we'd go to a short bull ring of a road course, wherever they may take it. If they can't take it to an oval or back to Daytona.